have been shocking cases of children who committed murders so brutal that they earned a place among the most terrifying killers. These stories challenge the belief that children are innocent by nature and show how circumstances, psychology, or sheer cruelty can turn them into violent offenders. One of the most infamous cases is Mary Bell from Newcastle, England. In 1968, at just 11 years old, she strangled two young boys, one age 4 and the other 3. What made her crimes even more disturbing was her calmness afterward. She left notes admitting what she had done and even returned to the crime scene to taunt police. Her lack of remorse and the planning involved shocked the entire country. Another horrifying story is that of John Venables and Robert Thompson, both only 10 years old, who abducted and murdered 2-year-old James Bulger in Liverpool in 1993. The boys lured James away from a shopping mall, tortured him, and left his body on a railway track. The brutality of the murder, combined with the young age of the killers, horrified the world and raised questions about whether children could be pure evil. In Japan, a case known as Girl A involved an 11-year-old schoolgirl who in 2004 murdered her 12-year-old classmate Satomi Mitarai. She slit her throat and arms inside a school classroom, leaving everyone stunned. Later investigations revealed she had been obsessed with internet horror stories and violent content, and jealousy played a role in the killing. The case caused nationwide debate on how exposure to violent media and social isolation could affect children's minds. In the United States, the case of Jesse Pomeroy in the 1870s remains one of the earliest and most terrifying examples. At just 11 years old, he began luring younger children, torturing them with knives and beating them mercilessly. By age 14, he escalated to murder, killing a 10-year-old girl and a 4-year-old boy. His sadistic pleasure in causing pain led newspapers to label him the Boston Boy Fiend, and he spent most of his life in prison. Another chilling case is Alyssa Bustamante, a 15-year-old girl from Missouri who murdered 9-year-old Elizabeth Olton in 2009. Alyssa strangled, stabbed, and buried Elizabeth in a shallow grave. What made the case more terrifying was her diary entry afterward, where she described the murder as amazing and admitted she killed just to see what it felt like. Her cold detachment and enjoyment of the act horrified both the public and the courts. These cases stand out not only for the ages of the killers, but also for the disturbing motives and cruelty behind their actions. They serve as grim reminders that darkness can manifest even in the youngest of minds, leaving behind stories that continue to terrify generations. Another disturbing case is that of Graham Young, known as the teacup poisoner. He was only 14 years old in 1961 when he began experimenting with deadly poisons. Fascinated by chemistry and toxic substances, he poisoned his stepmother and made several other family members sick by secretly slipping poison into their drinks. Even at such a young age, Graham was methodical, cold, and obsessed with death. His crimes continued later in life, but the fact that his fascination with murder began as a child makes him one of history's most terrifying youthful killers. In South Africa, the case of Mozolekatse Moses Sithola shows how violence can begin early. Before becoming one of the nation's most feared serial killers in adulthood, reports suggest he began violent acts as a youth. While not all details are officially confirmed about his childhood crimes, it reflects a terrifying truth, that sometimes cruelty and the thirst for killing can surface in early years, shaping future monsters. Eric Smith's case in the United States is another horrifying example. In 1993, at just 13 years old, he lured 4-year-old Derek Roby into a secluded area. He strangled him, dropped rocks on his head, and left his small body in the woods. Later, Eric confessed with chilling detachment. The murder shocked his community, as Eric had been bullied himself, raising disturbing questions about how cycles of abuse could turn into shocking violence. In Norway, there's the case of an 11-year-old boy in 1994 who, along with a 5-year-old accomplice, brutally killed a 5-year-old girl named Silja Redergaard. The boys beat her, stripped her clothes, and left her to freeze to death in the snow. The case drew comparisons to the James Bulger murder in the UK and stirred deep debate about the age of responsibility for children in violent crimes. One of the darkest cases in recent history is the Slender Man stabbing in Wisconsin, USA. In 2014, two 12-year-old girls, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Wire, lured their friend Peyton Leutner into the woods and stabbed her 19 times, leaving her for dead. They claimed they did it to please the fictional internet character Slender Man. Although Peyton survived, the sheer planning, influence of online horror, and lack of remorse shown by the attackers terrified the world, proving how dangerous imagination and obsession could become in young minds.